Now, back in the mists of time, around about 1980, I was an apprentice and I worked on site. And every Friday afternoon, we were given about an hour to sharpen our tools for the following week. Now, this normally involves us just sharpening our chisels, but from time to time, you would have to use one of these and sharpen a handsaw. And that's what we're going to do today. We're also going to set the teeth on it. It'll all become clear as mud soon. The one thing you need if you're going to sharpen a handsaw is a handsaw. And this one I've had for quite a few years, and it needs a sharpen because this one has done around about 5 houses with laminate flooring, and laminate flooring is not the greatest stuff to cut. So today we're going to set the teeth on it and we're going to sharpen it. This is something that I knocked up a little while ago. I've only used it a couple of times, so it's been sitting at the back of my workshop. And what it does is it just holds the saw nice and steady. So they just fit in like that. Saw goes in between, because what you need is you need your saw not to flex in any way. So what we do is we take it like that, we put it in, we need to sort of get the saw blade up high so that we can set it to start with. Now this bit of setting the saw is the time consuming bit, really. We've got it in there. Now normally this would be clamped to the desk, but seeing as my bench is pretty nasty, I've just screwed it down, so it'll keep it steady for the duration of this. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the teeth. Now all European saws have teeth that go in opposite directions. So if this tooth goes in that direction, the tooth behind it goes in that direction, and then this one that way and that way, and so on. Now the reason they go in opposite directions is so that the cut you make is wider than the actual blade of the saw, or the panel as we call it. Otherwise your saw would jam. To set the teeth, you're going to need, off he goes again, one of these. Now this is a saw set. Now you may notice that it has a wheel on, and the wheel has numbers on. The numbers represent teeth per inch of the saw you're working on. And you may notice there the wheel has a bit of a step. That is because the underside of this wheel, as you go around, has a more and more severe camber on it, let's say. Now this saw has 7 teeth per inch, so what we want to do is we want to loosen this off, and we need to turn the wheel to 7. So we put it there, hold it, and then tighten it down. And you see there, it says 7. Now, if you notice that this tooth here comes towards me, this tooth goes towards you. The following tooth is more or less straight up, and that should point towards me. So we are overdue to sort this saw out. And how we do that is like this. Now when we're setting it from this direction, from where I am, I'm going to be bending the tooth in your direction. So first of all, we need to do this one, the first one, the third one, the fifth one, and so on. from this side. Then we turn the saw around and then we carry on in the opposite direction. So all we do is we put it on like that. If you notice on here we have a little thing that pops out. That has to touch the center of the tooth. So like that, and then all we do is crimp it. Then the third tooth rather, like that, the fifth, the seventh, ninth, and so on and so forth, all the way down the blade. Now my first saw that I ever sharpened wasn't really that blunt, but it was just starting to get a little bit sticky. So the other joiners told me what I needed to do. They told me that I needed to build one of these things for it, which I did. And then I took my saw and I followed all the instructions and I sharpened it to how the others told me to. And when I finished, I was really pleased with it until I tried to use it. And in actual fact, I had just blunted it. And one of the other joiners had a look at it afterwards, and I always remember what he said. He said, "You could ride bare ass to London on that now," which wasn't great. But again, unless you try, you're never gonna learn anything. So I would say give everything a go, even if it scares you, because the more you do it, the better you get. And there we go. That's it. All the teeth are more or less in the right position to cut properly. The next thing we need to do is to sharpen it. Right, so the first thing we need to do now is put the saw further down in the holder, because we don't want the blade to flex any more than it needs to. So the next step, we don't really need to do, because we don't have any broken teeth or low teeth that I can see on this one. So, but what you would normally do, if you had a tooth that had just chipped off at the top, you would take a normal file or a metal file and you would put it onto there and you would rub it along the top. That means that you get all the teeth at the same height, because there's no point having a tooth there that's not working. All the teeth need to cut. So if you have one that's just a little bit lower, just take that across the top, get all the teeth down to the same level. All you need to do is just look for the tip of the tooth, and as soon as it becomes shiny, then we are golden and we can start sharpening properly then. And to sharpen properly, you will need a triangular file. Now if I bring you closer and you look down on this, now you will see that each tooth goes in a different direction. So the back of this tooth goes that way, the back of this tooth goes that way, and so on and so forth. So we need to follow those angles, and the triangular file is the way to do it. Now when we get to the end here, we don't necessarily have to do these teeth, because these teeth very rarely get used, just because the handle's in the way. So finish that one off like that. Oh, yep. Now what we do is we go in the opposite direction. I think we're getting sharp. So I think what we'll do now is we'll take it out of this and give it a test drive and see how we did. So the next thing we want to do is to make sure that it cuts properly and that it runs true, because we want it to follow a line. If we've done it wrong, then the saw will veer off to one side or the other, and that would be bad. So let's see how we get on. There we go. Just take the doodads off. Let's see. Yeah, that's not bad. That's okay, yeah. See that? We're okay. So that's really true anyway. It could probably benefit from another sharpen. It does feel sharp, but I think another sharpen would do. So we may do that off camera. So there you go. That's my method of sharpening a handsaw. Now obviously there are other people out there who will have their own methods and they'll swear by them. Absolutely fine. This is just my method that I was taught when I was an apprentice. Now in my defense, that saw could probably do with another sharpen, because it is running a little bit slow. It's running true, but a little bit slow. But that saw's been in my cupboard now for 20 years, maybe more. And it's been through 5 houses and about 15 laminate floors. So, and a laminate floor can sort of take its toll on a good saw. So I would say, give it a go. If you've got an old saw that's blunt and you're just going to throw it away, try to sharpen it and see what happens. You could bring it back to life and it could be a really good saw for years to come. Now you may have noticed that yesterday we passed 2,000 subscribers, which to me is fabulous, because I never thought that anybody would actually tune in to listen to a fat guy in his shop, I've said this before, talk a drivel. But if I can impart a little bit of knowledge from my years of working with wood, then all the better. And for that, one of you is going to be rewarded. And the reward is this. This is the Veritas marking gauge. It's never been out of this box. It's brand new. It only arrived a few days ago. And even though I wanted to take it out and look at it, I haven't. So the only person that's going to be using it is the person that wins it. Now, over the last 3 videos, we've had 56 comments. I've written everybody's name down that's commented, and one of you is going to win the Veritas marking gauge right now. I have random.org, which is a random number generator, and we've got, what was it, 56? We've got 56 comments, so we go 56, 1 to 56, we go, and the number is 35. See that? 35. If we go to there, see who 35 is. 35 is Chippy 8291. There you go, Chippy. Sounds like you're in line for this. But don't use it on site, so you'll have it away. Alright? So Chippy, if you drop me a line, either on YouTube or Instagram, let me know your address and I'll get it away to you. Alright? So congratulations for that, pal. Great fun. So that is it for another week. next week we are going to be making a router table for my little palm router. I really need one, and I went to B&Q the other day and I picked this up, which will do. I found it in the bargain basement thing, and it only cost me £5.50 for half a sheet. So that will do for next week's project. So until then, see you later. We've noticed that you're not subscribed, so press that. Go on. You know you want to. Go on. Go on.